I'm Jerry.
And I'm Veronica.
Thomas Jefferson once said that without health, there is no happiness. And that, therefore, health should be our main concern.
Our group today is going to talk about healthcare disparities in healthcare, especially regarding to the relationships between illness and poverty.
So in our research, we've concluded that poverty and illness go hand in hand with a mutually dependent relationship. This means that not only does poverty cause illness, but illness can also be shown to cause poverty.
So we may ask, how does this cycle work?
Well, first of all, we found a number of factors that poverty can cause illness.
One of these factors is a lack of basic knowledge of health, and this includes lack of adequate knowledge about nutrition, potential health risks, and exercise.
Another factor contributing to illness is the lack of access to healthcare. So the lack of access to clean water, clean sanitation, the lack of access to medical professionals and medical treatment.
So inversely, illness has also been shown to cause poverty.
Illness can increase poverty by lowering incomes and reducing household savings. Statistics have shown that people with disabilities are less likely to be hired, and those suffering from illnesses are also under great pressure of being able to afford the expensive drugs.
And illness can also lead to reduced productivity. For example, if someone was employed but they fell into illness, they could experience loss of wages or even lose their job due to illness-induced absences or loss of abilities.
Once an individual falls into this continuous cycle, it is extremely difficult to break away from it, and as a result, they often fall deeper into this cycle of poverty and illness.
Unit 9.
Poor children are 2/3 as likely to be in excellent health and twice as likely to be in fair or poor health.
Understandable?
Studies done in rural India by Smith in 2002 shows that ill health and health-related expenses play critical parts in pushing people into poverty in over 80% of cases.
And in Hamilton, Ontario, there's actually a 21-year gap in life expectancy between the richest neighborhoods and the poor neighborhoods. So for our solution, we have two basic parts, and for the first part, we're going to go to high poverty areas of the community, providing nutritious foods to those in need.
Existing organizations have illustrated that there is a high turnout to these events in providing food and shelter to those in need. And we plan to take after these corporate
However, what differentiates us from other existing charities that, along with providing nutritious food, we also will have nutritionists present at the events to help the poor to learn more about the nutrition knowledge. And while providing food will be the main incentive for people to come to our events, we also hope people to just benefit from learning more about healthcare information.
And the second part of our program, we will be going to elementary schools and high schools providing orientations to the students.
We'll be providing fun sports and activities for the students so that they can learn about exercise. And we'll also be providing free healthy lunches to students so that we can emphasize how eating healthy can positively affect their health.
Also, we'll have nutritionists present at the events, so as to spread knowledge about healthy eating and healthy living and exercising well. And we'll also be recruiting some local celebrities or athletes, such as soccer players or hockey players, to promote healthy living and exercising in
We plan to start local in Vancouver to implement our solutions to these evidently pressing issues regarding to the poverty in our community.
However, as we expand, we'll move to more locations which are in need in Canada, North America, and globally. So for our budget, we've separated our budget into 3 main parts, and these are the event themselves, staff wages, as well as the website and advertisements.
As for the events, we plan to target 2 main audiences of schools and low-income areas. At these events, we'll be providing free, healthy food to people, and we'll also have nutritionists present so that they can talk about eating healthy and living healthy.
At first, we plan to purchase our own foods, so like organic, healthy foods without pesticides and sustainable foods. But hopefully in the future, we can become sponsored by organic food companies so as to provide food for a wider audience.
And for our staff wages, we will be paying the employees respectively based on their time commitment and the requirements of their work.
We determined that the largest portion of our budget will be going to the organizational aspect of our program, and that will be the providing of food, programming events, setting up our website, everything that has to do with it.
For advertisement, we plan to advertise our organization through means of leaflets, flyers, billboards, banners, newspaper ads, and even internet ads.
And for our website, we will hire people with strong backgrounds in IT and graphic design in order to ensure that our website stays up and running, secure, as well as being user-friendly and accessible.
Without adequate health services that cater for people earning extremely low incomes, illness can always be a very stressful and dangerous experiences for them. That is, for the ill often means that being at greater risk of entering into poverty and then be trapped in this illness and poverty cycle.
We want to make sure that our services can match the needs of the poor. We believe that a key to helping these poor people is to first help them access basic health care and to spread knowledge of healthy living. Our project promotes to empower populations in our immediate and global communities that are lacking basic health care and basic knowledge of health care. We believe that if everyone can help each other, we can help on this project that we can break the cycle.
And while the issue that we are addressing is very complex and there is no be-all, end-all solution, we are confident that our program will be efficient both at present time and in the long term in ending the cycle between poverty and illness. Thank you.
So we would like to open any questions up to the audience.
Seeing as your organization is on a global scale, I'm just wondering what separates yourself from organizations such as Right to Play, which are already going to continents such as Africa and going into schools and teaching children about sports.
Well, the difference between our organization and other organizations that are focused globally, we plan to start by focusing on Vancouver's downtown east side, specifically because this is a it's a huge problem in Vancouver, and we're hoping to tackle it in Vancouver and hopefully globally once our organization grows. So.
Anyone else have any questions?
Well, I'll ask, how is your organization sustainable?
We're providing healthy foods instead of say genetically modified foods or foods containing pesticides, and we believe that we're going to provide healthy foods.
But what I mean is once you use the budget, how do you survive? How do you continue?
We hope to get sponsors.
It's like we're trying to find sponsors like say around foods or restaurants. it's like when we are holding our events, we can just help them to make some advertisements, like on the truck or put the advertisements on our website just before we are going to show our videos, like 5 to 10 minutes. And in this way, we are just offering them something, and they can just help us to provide food. It's like to find sponsors.
Okay, so approximately how long will you be able to operate with the budget you have in hand? How much time will you have to raise?
Right now, with our budget, we're spending less than $1 million a year because we're very location specific right now. As we expand, our yearly budget will increase, but we hope to make this expansion slow and gradual in order to slowly gain more publicity and in that way solicit more donations or sponsors.
So that's what your advertising budget was for? Fundraising?
Yeah,
Because you had
just-
advertising in your budget?
Yeah, just generally getting.
For fundraising,
the word out.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. So in BC, we have free healthcare, well, free and under taxes. But would your foundation be more effective in places who are struggling more with health, such as like Southern Africa, Mid Africa, or Southern Asia?
Yeah, totally. Like, even though in Canada there's free healthcare, there is still deprivations for the poor, so it will still be effective. But yeah, in places where there's less services for the poor, we think our program would be have a lot greater effect.
Oh, James.
I have a couple questions. First one was the breakdown of wages. You had around $150,000 for your operation cost for your staff. How many people are you expecting to get as full-time staff for that much of a wage? Because it included, for example, media, advertisement, organizations especially, because it's a very competitive field. That how are you going to entice organizational professionals from other, for example, nonprofit organizations that do similar things to come to this with?
So first, we're, as Veronica said, we're very location specific. We're going to start as a very small kind of organization. So we actually don't really have too many people working on this project. We maybe have around, if we include ourselves, maybe 20 or so people. So that's why our budget for staff wages may seem to be pretty small. And
how do you pay 20 people with $150,000 a year?
well, they're not working full time; they're working part time.
Okay,
So
that
they'd be
makes
working.
sense, okay.
So some of the departments will be paid per event, and some of the departments that work more or contribute more to the organization will be paid hourly on a part-time weekly basis.
So would you be giving these people food just at the conferences, or is it more long-term?
It's just we're going to hold functions where we give out food as well as giving education.
I'm just curious what the benefit of teaching about proper nutrition would be to people who can't afford food that's properly nutritious.
Well, there's sort of two different areas of poverty. There is low income and no income. So for no income people, a lot of times they can't afford any food. But for low income food, a lot of times they could be able to afford healthy food if they have the proper knowledge to make the choices, because a lot of times they would choose ready-made foods which are not as healthy, but with proper knowledge they could learn how to buy foods which are more nutritious.
I guess that concludes their presentation. So we'd like to just thank all the groups who presented today, including Farm Forward, who presented their astonishing animal cruelty behind farming.
And OpenGM for their innovative idea of having an open source for their genetically modified seeds.
And lastly, Kalparov, who just showed physical activity is a necessity for impoverished people. Thank you. And we'll have the teams Forest and
Change for Relief.
Change for Relief. Thank you. Yes, tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Help yourself candy, refreshments, or food.